We get points. Good job, guys.
What? It's true.
You're right. It is.
You said awesomeness. We didn't even know what it was about.
I know.
So that's why.
I'm creating the mystique.
Since maximize your awesomeness, I didn't know what that even meant.
Well, so wait, if you guys get points, what do my friends get?
And I didn't really know.
Well, he.
Applause. Good job for coming, guys. All right. All right. That's Dr. Shelley. She's going to start whenever she wants to.
Okay, hi. I know I sound kind of funny, right? And that's because we have a lot of stuff going on in our environment right now, and my body's just responding to it. And yesterday I did a lot of talking, and it just kind of caught up with me. So I have this sexy, raspy voice now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so my name is Dr. Shelley O'Connor, and I am a chiropractor. My office is just down the street. I put some cards over there. Jen comes to see me. Once in a while, Tony shows up. And I'm here to talk to you today about maximizing your awesomeness. But on the way here, I was talking with my friend about different topics that we could cover. And I was like, you know, I think there are a few different things that I'd like to talk about. But first, what I do before I start any of my talks is I ask, what are you here to learn? What do you want to know? What do you want me to talk about? Because I want to make sure that you leave here having your expectations met. So what were you hoping to find out? I know you want to get points, but besides getting points, what were you hoping to get out of this evening?
Were you learning how chiropractic, how important it is, and like how it kind of works?
Okay. So Jen said she wanted to relearn how chiropractic works and why it's important.
Well, I just want to learn that.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know that.
Okay, so you don't know anything about chiropractic and you're just wondering what the heck do I do? Okay. Anything else? That's it? Darren, what do you want to learn?
I want to learn how to help people like Sean who, you know what I mean.
Help people who have
go, like, you went to
issues,
chiropractic
but they don't get
and
out of their own way.
Yeah, who
With
went
their
to
habits.
chiropractic and I just
Yeah.
got the cracking and everything and thinks that's okay. And how do you politely explain?
Okay.
And some of the things that we do naturally that are bad for us, like wearing high heels every day.
Okay.
Or if that's bad. I don't know.
Okay. So, and the difference between getting adjusted and somebody just randomly
Difference between
runs
chiropractors
around.
and chiropractors.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's a big one. Okay. Anything else? Sandra, anything you want to learn?
Obviously, there's certain chemicals that people tend to think are good for them versus bad for them.
Okay. Okay.
Medication.
I guess kind of what she was saying, but more like everyday lifestyle, how to make your stuff good.
Okay. All right.
I'd like to learn maybe some techniques to help with my posture.
Yeah.
I noticed that my posture is not as good as.
I see it.
So
Okay.
any tips you have?
When you should see a chiropractor versus like going to get a massage, thinking you need a massage versus.
Okay, and so one of the things that we're going to hit on with that subject is symptoms versus just being awesome. Okay. So the thing that I wanted to talk about kind of goes along with that, because an issue that's become kind of a hot topic for me lately is when we medically or herbally induce a state of homeostasis. So that's something that I would like to cover with you. And I know that sounds like a lot of big words, but we'll get there. So I'll start with the basics. Oh, and I think somebody told me that she wanted me to talk about emotions and how emotions affect your health and your spine and what chiropractic has to do with that. Somebody said that.
That too.
Yeah. So I'm going to start with the basics. So what controls every single cell and every function in your body?
Brain.
Your brain and your nervous system, right? So your brain's up here. You have a spinal cord, brain up here, protected by bones. Spinal cord here, protected by bones, right? Comes all the way down into your tailbone. And then, oh, there were some children playing with my spine earlier, can you tell? They're like, Dr. Shelley, what would happen if your spine did that? And I'm like, you'd be in trouble. A lot of trouble. So, then the spinal cord is protected by your vertebra, right? And then in between all of the vertebra, for each of the vertebra, are spinal nerves. And then these nerves branch out. Every cell in your body is only one cell away from a nerve, or is directly in contact with a nerve. So your nervous system controls everything about you, okay? Every cell in your body, all through here. Now, what happened when Superman fell off a horse? Does anybody remember? He got paralyzed, right? Well, what happened? He broke his neck. He broke a bone in his neck here, okay? It shut off his life from there down, okay? That's how important this is. I should have brought some dimes with me, because if you hold a dime, you would feel that that weight pressing on a nerve can reduce your function up to 80%. That's a big deal. And if you hold a dime for long enough, you don't even feel it. So when you were asking about when to take care of your spine, it isn't when you feel pain, because pain is only about 10% of your nervous system. So if you're waiting for pain, you've waited way too long, because you've got a lot of function. What do you think your nervous system does for you besides give you pain, right? Let you feel the sensation of pain. Makes your heart beat, creates new cells, digests your food, lets you cross and uncross your legs, right? And that's your nervous system working. Helps you walk around without falling down. Like I'm moving around up here, and I'm not hitting myself with the spine yet, I might. But your nervous system lets you do all of these things, right? And your kidneys are processing, your liver's working, your pancreas is working, everything is working. And you're not thinking about any of it, right? We focus on little stuff, like it hurts. I had somebody the other day who's like, well, it hurts right here if you push. Like, really? That's your biggest concern in life? Like, how about we focus on your overall function? That really doesn't matter that much. So, we focus on the minutia, but really we need to look at the big pictures. So, this spine and spinal cord, spine is really controls your life, okay? So, how do we damage this spinal cord? How do we damage this spine? Any idea? What do you think is the first damage you get to your spine? Boom, right there. So, birth is usually the first time you damage your spine. Because usually, especially in America, especially in Las Vegas where we have an 80% C-section rate, birth trauma is the most traumatic experience most people will ever have, okay? It is a horrible, horrible situation. Now, it doesn't have to be. Women are designed to give birth. This is a boy pelvis, by the way. This is not a girl. A girl pelvis is wider in the angle. But people are designed to give birth. And if we were supporting women properly, they would be able to give birth naturally. The wild animals seem to do just fine. So we've lost our way somewhere along the lines. So in Vegas, we have a very, very high C-section rate. That's the first major trauma to your system, physically, okay? Also, a lot of babies are stuck in the uterus because mom doesn't have a healthy spine, doesn't have a healthy pelvis, and then the baby gets stuck in a position, stays there for a long time, long part of the gestational period, and that causes trauma to their spines, okay? Then you get diapered, which a lot of times parents don't diaper their children correctly because nobody taught them and you didn't get an instruction manual. But you're not supposed to lift up their feet and pick them up that way and slide a diaper underneath. You're supposed to roll them side to side. When you pick them up, you actually separate that very fragile and developing sacrum and L5, and that's one of the biggest contributors to low back pain. Unexplained low back pain.
I got two.
Yeah, you're wondering how you didn't kill your kids, right?
Bust them up.
Well, the human body
Passed down by generation, though.
the human body is amazingly resilient. So luckily you didn't kill them. But that's one of the leading causes of idiopathic, meaning we don't know why it happens, low back. It's because we were diapered incorrectly. We were hurt when we were little babies, and nobody was trying to hurt us. It just happened. And then you learn to walk, and you fell, and yada, yada, yada. All the physical stuff that happens. And you drive cars and play sports and all of those things. And then you work out. And then you've got all this jacked up system, and then you work out on it even more, and then you get in car accidents again. You know, when you're not in a good position, you can't take those forces of life very well because you're all out of whack. So think about when you're doing your TRX workouts, right? And is Tony harping on you about your form and having good form and having a good foundation so that you can keep your balance, right? Because if you don't have good form, if you don't have a good foundation, you cannot function optimally. So it's really important that we have integrity in the structure of our skeletal system so that our neurological system, which is being protected by this skeleton here, can function optimally, okay? So that's the physical stuff. But honestly, the physical trauma is the least of your problems. Because the two things that affect your health and affect the integrity of your spine and your spinal cord the most are emotional and chemical. So when I say emotional, I mean your emotions, what you feel, and what you think. The way you see the world, the way you process the world, the way you respond, okay? So how you take things in, glass half full, glass half empty, that kind of stuff, okay? Really affects your health. Are you scared? Are you living in a fearful environment or a nurturing environment? Do you feel empowered or disempowered? All of that affects your health. You can look often at people's posture, not knowing anything about them, and know a lot about them, just by looking at how they stand, how they move, how they act, right? Or do they feel empowered? Do they feel fearful? Do they look like a scared animal? Are they crouching down? Things like that. You can really tell because that's how you develop. So what's going on emotionally absolutely affects your spine. Now, think about what happens when you get really bad news. Do you feel good in your body? No. And then when you get happy news, do you suddenly feel much better in your body? You kind of forget about other stuff, right? Okay. So your perception and your response are dictated by your nervous system, but they also affect your nervous system. And if you want to learn more about that kind of stuff, I highly recommend Bruce Lipton, The Biology of Belief. Has anyone heard of him? Oh, well, your world is going to blow up because he's really great. Bruce Lipton, The Biology of Belief, and I think it's on Netflix. And he talks about how your perception of the world actually affects your DNA. And so the protein sheath opens up and changes in response to the way you see the world. Okay? So it's really important what we're putting in. So then when we think about our childhood, our children, what we're taking in, music, media, messages, are we taking in good or are we taking in stuff that doesn't serve us in a positive way? It's just something to think about. That affects your health. And then chemically, we're being bombarded. So your body is responding to everything that happens to you chemically. So what you're eating, what you're breathing, right? What you're absorbing through your skin, what's being injected in you, what you're swallowing, all of that is going to affect your system. So you can have chemistry that comes into your body that does good things, like Jen, what are you eating?
Organic, there's cranberries.
All right, so she's eating some cranberries there. So she's getting some good antioxidants and feeding her body right now some fiber. You need some water with those, though.
I know.
A lot of water. Okay. So
I wanted to stop and get somebody. I didn't want to be late.
So she's feeding her body. Now she could have chosen to sit there and eat Cheetos, right? Maybe they wouldn't have been allowed in the gym. I hope not. But she could have chosen poorly, right? She could have chosen something that's full of artificial ingredients that not only doesn't serve her body, but is detrimental to her system. So your nervous system, right, your brain, your spinal cord, is responding to everything you think, everything you feel emotionally, everything you do physically, and everything that you encounter chemically.
Yeah.
Right? If you had to do your brain's job, do you think you could keep up? No. No, it's a really hard job. And someone was asking me something today about hormones and the endocrine system, and the endocrine system is crazy complicated. And I said, listen, your brain and your body are way smarter than some dude in the lab coat. So don't worry about what's in a bottle, let your brain and your body do its job, okay? Feed yourself real food, move your body, get adjusted, drink water, be nice, everything will be fine, okay? If everyone would do that, we'd all be fine. But now we get to shift everybody. So let's back up a little bit. So you were asking, when should people start getting care? Well, I'm the kind of chiropractor who recommends that people start getting care before they're born. So when your mommy is pregnant, you want her to be getting adjusted so that you're having a good experience in the womb, you get a good delivery, and then she brings you in after you're born. So we can't back up that far for all of us in the room, but we can pass that information on to the future. Otherwise, I recommend that people get adjusted as soon as you find out about chiropractic and find somebody that you want to go to. And that's hard. I struggle with finding chiropractors that I personally want to go to myself, and I understand it. I understand what it's like to be on the consumer end of this, because I was a chiropractic recipient long before I decided to become a chiropractor. My story is on my website if you want to read it, but basically I got hurt really badly in the Army, yada, yada, yada. I went to a chiropractor, I got way better. Like, that's basically it. So when she explained chiropractic to me, my whole life changed, because I suddenly saw how the body works and how it just made sense that if you have pressure on the nervous system, you can't function optimally, and why would you want pressure on the nervous system? And I was really mad because I wanted to know why we didn't learn this in kindergarten, and shouldn't I have been getting adjusted my whole life? And why weren't my grandparents getting adjusted and my parents getting adjusted? And then everybody wouldn't have been sick and they wouldn't have died, and no. I mean, I went nuts, like, because I wanted to know why this big secret wasn't being shared with everyone, because it was the greatest thing I'd ever heard. So I immediately started calling everyone I knew and told them that they had to go get adjusted. I don't do that anymore. Now what I say to people when they talk to me about what's going on with their bodies, they say it would be really great if you could find a chiropractor to go to. And these are the things that I tell people to look for, because I get requests from people all over the country, sometimes in other countries. How do I find a chiropractor? And so I say, well, it's good to find somebody who sees kids, because generally someone who sees kids is going to be more gentle. And then personally, I prefer the ones who are cash pay chiropractors, not insurance chiropractors, because what I've found, and this isn't 100%, what I found in general is you can either have someone who's working for you, or you can have someone who's working to build up a big bill to make money from the insurance company. So, are you going in and getting adjusted, or are you going in and getting all kinds of gadgets and stuff that makes the bill bigger but doesn't necessarily make you happier? And those are all things that we can talk about too, but I'll break that down later. So, I recommend that I live at your house, I check your spine in the morning, I check your spine at night. If you need to be adjusted, your body will tell me and I'll adjust you. If you don't need to be adjusted, you won't get adjusted. I'm still waiting for Jen to have me move in. But it's just not practical, right, for me to live at your house and check you twice a day. So you go to your chiropractor as often as you can. Once a week is a good rule, but just like anything, if you do it randomly, some is always better than none, but it's not that effective. So what if you only worked out with Tony once a year? You gonna get any results? What if you work out with Tony twice a week? You gonna get any results? What if you work out with him twice a month? You're still not going to get anything out of it, are you? Maybe you pulled muscle because you didn't work out the other 28 days. What if you work out with him 4 times a week? 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 5 times a week, 6 times a week? Are you going to get results? Right. Your body's going to change and respond. Your body's going to learn new habits. Things are going to happen. So we've got this whole stigma of people saying, oh, well, once you start going, you have to go all the time. Yeah, and once you start brushing your teeth, you have to brush your teeth all the time. And once you start working out, you have to work out all the time. And once you start eating, you have to eat all the time. It's all what you make it. You know, you get out of it what you put into it. So if you want to be your most awesome, then you get adjusted more frequently. So back to awesomeness. Think for a minute about everything I said about your brain and what your brain and your nervous system are doing. Pretty awesome, right? And then you think about all the ways in which we clamp down on that spinal cord and cause layers of tension interfering with the messages from the brain to the body. And that kind of dims our light bulb, right? It's like a dimmer switch. Okay, and then our awesomeness goes down. And then it just becomes awesome. Then it just becomes awe, and it becomes ugh, right? So we want to crank that up so that you can be a full expression of yourself. So chiropractors who work like I do are all about human potential and life expression. We want you to be the best expression of you that you can be. Because we all have different gifts and talents, and we all look different, and we're all built differently, and some people can sing, and some people can dance, and whatever. You want to be the best you that you can be. And so chiropractic helps you do that, because every time we fine-tune your nervous system, we clear away those dimes that I talked about, those places where you have pressure on your spinal cord, on your nerve root, interfering with the messages from your brain to your body, you become a better expression of you. Now, let me ask you something. If you have all kinds of misalignments in your spine, if you have pressure on your spinal cord, if your messages are not getting 100% from your brain to your body, are you going to perform well in your workout? You might be okay, right? You're doing fine right now, right? You're doing all right. But you could be better. That's the cool part. So even though you're already awesome, you can be more awesome. Okay? There's always that little bit more, and you always want to not only be getting better all the time and over time, but you also want to be preventing things that can go wrong, and you want to be making sure you're not going backwards, right? Now, we're all going to age, correct? You know, there's a big movement against aging, all this anti-aging stuff. I'm like, well, if you're anti-aging, then you're dead, right? Because you can either get older or you can die. So we all have to get older. So we should embrace that. And we should continue to be better expressions of ourselves as we get older. Does that make sense? Right? Okay. Have I lost anybody? Any questions?
You speak for all of us, Chloe.
No.
Tony, are you with us?
Yeah.
Good? Okay. So, where are we going? We talked about emotions. So, the other thing with emotions is a lot of times people are just kidding and they're like, oh, can you give attitude adjustments? Ha ha ha. Yes, because a lot of times when you're crabby, it's because you've got pressure on your system interfering with the way you perceive the world and the way you're responding to the world. So you get adjusted, and then you are a better expression of yourself, and you're suddenly able to breathe, to glow. You literally glow for 20 minutes on the inside after you get adjusted. I'm not kidding. It's a true story.
I need a lot of your cards to take to my work.
Okay. I brought quite a few.
Hand them out. to those
JoJo
crabby
fully
people.
notices every time I get adjusted how much better mood I'm in at work the
I
next
think
day.
I need a sample of this.
I do a sample.
She does.
You are so lucky that you live in Las Vegas, because I allow all locals, I invite all locals to come to my office. You just show up on the hours that are listed on my website. Don't call me, just show up on the hours that are listed on my website, okay? And when you show up, you fill out this little form, and then you get adjusted for free so you can have the experience.
Oh, that's really awesome.
I know.
I like that.
You know why I do it? Because I want to make Vegas healthier. I want everyone in Vegas to be the best expressions of themselves that they can be. So whatever you do, whatever you're into, whatever your lifestyle is, be awesome at it, right? So that's why I do what I do. So, it happens very frequently that a parent will bring in a child and say, so-and-so is grumpy, adjust them. It's like that, just like that. It's really incredible. And it happens a lot with the adults. They don't like to admit it, but it happens with them too. So whenever somebody's grumpy, send them to see me. I can handle it, and they'll only be grumpy for a few minutes, and after they get adjusted, they'll suddenly love me and want to hug me and think everything's great. Okay? So that's the emotional part. Habits of daily living. You were asking about the things that you do. Okay. We drive cars, we play with our cell phones, we peck away at computers, right? Okay, so that posture isn't helping you because you're bent over like this, right? And this is what people do all day, where they're like this, right? Or this. This is even worse. I see this all the time. What are you doing with your head down there? Because this is what you're going to end up looking like. Do you want to be like this? Have you seen these people at the grocery store? Right? And they're like 60. It's not that far away. 60 is not that far away. I just turned 44 this year. 60 is not that far away. Get up here, right? Stay up here. So, bring everything up in front of you. So that's one of the habits of daily living that you can change, is change your ergonomics. Change your environment. So Darren is a great example of this. Darren has set up things in his home. He does a lot of work on computers. So he has changed things so that he can stand and work on his computer, so that he can stand and read. When you're standing, you can move, you can do squats, you can, move your legs around, you can be up, right? Not hunched over. Most people's desks have them all hunched over like this for 8 hours a day. And using the mouse, it's terrible. And then your pelvis goes forward, you got the old man butt, right? You don't want that. So, get up here. One of the most important habits of daily living is to change your ergonomics. Pay attention to the way you're sitting in your car. You don't need to sit back like this like a gangster, right? Or leaning forward like this in your car. No, sit up. One of the problems is that most of the cars that I've driven recently, more modern vehicles, have seats that put your head forward, right? So if you can, take the headrest out and turn it around backwards so you can bring your head back. Because you want to always try to keep your ear over your shoulder. If you sit up straight, okay, and have a good position like this when you're driving, and you get hit, you're not going to suffer as much damage as if you're all hunched over and you get hit. Which is one of the reasons that I don't do personal injury cases. Because as much as it is somebody else's fault that they hit you, it's not their fault that they hit somebody who had a crappy spine. That's your fault. Because you could have been taking care of your spine before you got hit. And then you wouldn't have been in as bad shape from the collision. Does that make sense? So that's why I don't do personal injury cases, because there's too much placing blame that just isn't really fair. So that's another habit of daily living. Obviously, exercise is a good habit, but you want to do your exercise with good form, with a good spine that can handle what you're doing. Imagine if you're all like this and you're trying to do push-ups, okay? It's not good. You want to have a good structure to do your workout. So think of it kind of like a race car. Like it has to be finely tuned in the right alignment to do what it does. And you're the same way. You have to be in the right alignment so that you can function optimally. So you can get by if you're all cattywampus, but you're not going to be as awesome as you could be. Yoga is a great way to help balance yourself out, front to back. Obviously, your core is important. So you're doing all that here. You have an expert helping you.